All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Happy Monday. How's it going, Jen?
Good. Thank you. Nice out. That just makes me happy.
Good. It is really nice out. It's been the last, I don't know, maybe week, a little less. So today we're talking about some big companies. And if you've listened to the podcast at all, you know that I like looking at other industries. And I really like looking at like CEOs of these giant companies to see what they're doing, because oftentimes their solutions are super simple, not necessarily easy, but they're really, these CEOs that are super successful are really good at finding like the elegant solution to the problem. And I always think that that's super cool. So we're going to dive into a couple of those. But before that, we do our opening takes. We need like a little theme. We need like a little theme music for that.
That would be your job. You're in charge
Like how
of that.
radio shows have it. Opening takes.
Bum, bum, bum. Does Jen have one this week?
Does she?
Yeah, I do. I think so.
Oh,
I got something.
you want to go first, or do you want me to go
I can.
first? Go for it.
All right. So my opening take, this word drives me nuts, but it works, is going to be the word self-care. So I have been doing hair for 25-ish years, whatever, and I'm 47 years old. And so sometimes it's so interesting, but people be like, when are you going to retire? Like, does your body hurt? Does your body like break down? You've been doing like the same job for 25 years. And yes, it does. But the word self-care is where I'm going with this. So I see a chiropractor monthly to keep my body in check. That chiropractor is the one that inspired me to be doing certain things, because he's like, I want your body to be able to do another 1,000 haircuts. And then I want it so one day, if your kids have kids, you can play with your kids and you're not hurting from your job. And so it's really important at any point in any career to start taking care of yourself, not when things already are start to hurt. So I exercise regularly. I take walks. I eat good food. And I do all of this because I want to be my best self for the future. And that hopefully then I don't have as many ailments as I see some people in their older ages have. So especially in this career where you're always using like your shoulders, your hands, so many things. I trained someone the other week who, I think she's 22 years old, already has carpal tunnel. She can't hold her scissors in certain ways. Which I'm like, you're going to have to start taking care of this. But taking care of your body not only helps you in your today's being present world, but it will help you in the future so that the things that you want to do, you can keep doing. So make sure you take care of yourself.
Yeah, I always used to say that to people who would come to my gym. Like, it's cool to be strong and it's cool to take care of your body. But you know what's cooler? Being able to run around and play basketball with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Or being able to run around in the backyard and throw a football or a baseball or a frisbee or whatever you're into with your kids or your dog or your spouse or grandkids. Or that stuff that's really cool. Good job.
Thanks.
That was a good one. So I have a super quick one, and then I have my actual opening take, which kind of relates to our topics today. But I heard this recently that in 1988, so not a super long time ago, right? Back in the 80s, 80% of the clothing we wore was made in America. Do you want to guess how much it is now?
10%.
I'll just tell you. No, it's 2%.
Wow.
Only 2% of the clothing that we wear is made in America. And I just thought that was an interesting fact, because there's obviously, with the economy and everything and people being like, we need made in America stuff and we need to bring manufacturing. Yeah, obviously there's room for that. So it's something to watch, and it's something that hopefully works out, right?
Yeah.
My other opening take is, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure I saw this somewhere, but so there's this understanding that the best athletes in the world will make top athletes at all, right, will make others around them better. That makes sense, right? Yep. You're the best basketball on your team. You free up other people to elevate their game,
Mm-hmm.
right? Same goes with any sport. So I think that translates to leadership too. So the best leaders are those who make the people around them better.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to ask themselves, like, do you make your team better? Do you raise them up? Do you get them closer to their goals, or are you more concerned about yourself? I just think it's a cool question to kind of think about, because I see a lot of this sort of, how would you say it? Like people that are fearful, like, what if I build these people and then they leave or something like that? Well, yeah, I mean, people leave. That's what happens in any industry, in any job, in any profession. So I think you need to create opportunities. We've talked about this a lot, but you have to create growth opportunities for people in order for them to stay. So that means leadership. You've got to lead them. If people are going to leave, and just like I said, people are going to leave either way, you're never going to have 100% retention.
Nor do you want that.
No, it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be exciting to just work with the same people for 20 years and then close or sell or whatever your exit plan is. So anyways, I was thinking about that the other day and I'm like, that might be the secret sauce right there. If you want to build a successful business, you need people around you, but you're going to have to raise them up. You're going to have to help them along. You're going to have to lead them. Absolutely. And if not, they're going to crave that leadership. They're going to look for it somewhere else. Or they're going to go, I could do this better on my own.
Right.
Which is what probably 95% of people in the hair industry do.
And then they go do it and then they are like, whoa, this is way harder than I thought. Which is
right. And then they realize they have to build a team around them.
Yes.
But they don't know how.
Yes.
So
it's cyclical, right? Like,
yep. It's the same thing over and over again. So I have two examples of CEOs that have been working with pretty big companies. And by pretty big, the first one is Starbucks.
Starbies.
So I think that would resonate because in the hair industry, everybody is all about the Starbucks, right? I prefer our local coffee shops. I don't drink much coffee, but when I do, and it's decaf, don't tell anybody, I go to our local spot, Coffee Berries in Londonderry. Shout out.
Good one. If you've never been, it is really good.
And I don't have anything against Starbucks. I think that they're a wildly successful company. So I don't know why anybody would hate on them, but here we are. So Starbucks, newer CEO, Brian Niccol, he said that you have to, so I was watching some videos recently and that's where this stuff came from. So I'm just going to kind of break those down. What he said was you've got to figure out what makes your brand magnetic or loved, by its customers, and then do everything in your power to make sure people understand it and that you're delivering it every single time.
That's the key part right there.
Yeah, the consistency, right? And I think that's a big thing for any business, but coffee shops, you want consistency. I want the same thing.
Yeah.
I want to know if I have 30 seconds to run in and grab a coffee, or if I'm hanging out, I want to know that I have the same experience.
And it's expected. So I'm irritated if it's not, right?
Yeah. Yep. So Starbucks sales, I think, were down for maybe it was 6 quarters. So a year and a half, Starbucks sales were down. Their prices have increased and their mobile orders have increased, which you would be like, oh, that's cool. But the wait times have also increased, which led to the down sales.
Gotcha.
And what was going on is what they figured out is that they were trying to do too much. So they thought, sales are down. What can we do? We can focus on the drive-through. So they got the drive-through going. And then they were like, sales are down. I don't know if this is the actual order, but then they started focusing on the mobile orders. And I think that's in my notes, so we'll get there in a second. Then what they did was they started focusing on cutting everything they could to keep the prices down. But what that led to was just sort of ignoring the experience that they wanted to deliver in their stores. And I think that's an important one too, because a lot of people in any industry, take the hair industry, you look at what you can get. People are always concerned with the price. And I'm not saying to go just spend money without paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to pay attention, but sometimes you have to ask what you get, not what something costs. Because if you really need that piece of software to manage your color, it's going to come back multiple times over.
Right.
So it's not just about that upfront cost, about bringing the software in. And I always see those comments like, is this worth it? I don't know. Do you want to make your business more streamlined and stop wasting money?
Right. It's always interesting when someone's like, is it worth it? I don't know. Is it worth it to you? What's in our best interest isn't always going to be in yours. So it depends on what you're looking for with that. And like you said, exactly what is the value? So does your business need that? And does it serve your business? And will it have a return on the amount that you're putting into it? Those are things that individually you'd have to look at.
Yeah. And so you also don't want to do what Starbucks did and ignore the experience.
Right.
Because that throws things off. So they were missing the mark on the mobile orders. For example, this was straight from the CEO. He said you would place an order, you'd get a message that your drink would be ready in 3 minutes. And you're like, I can't even get there in 3 minutes. So what they were doing was they were mismanaging sort of this algorithm that they had created. And instead of creating space there where they could take care of the customers in the store, the focus was on mobile orders. And people in the store started waiting longer. And the coffees were sitting there because the people can't even get there. So they can't get their beverage anyways, but you're prioritizing that.
Yeah.
So that's something that they can switch and that they said that they were working on, which I thought was really cool. So you might have a system and you might be chugging along and you might be like, I don't know. I feel like everything's going good. I have all these appointments. I'm booked out. I'm just not making money. I don't know what's going on. Well, stop what you're doing because it's not working.
Right. Time to
And
pivot.
figure something out. So Starbucks figured out they wanted to focus on the experience in their stores. So that's what their focus is now. They also came up with a new code of conduct and introduced that. So, for example, their stores were basically open to anybody. You could come in, you could get free water. You could come in, you can use the bathrooms for free. You didn't even have to be a customer. And they had customers that were showing up with food, I guess, from other businesses, not purchasing anything.
Wow.
And taking
just
up
using
the
their
table.
space. Yeah.
Yeah, just using their space. Free Wi-Fi, cool seats. I can charge my laptop while I'm here. I would never think to do that, but I can see how people would.
Yep.
So they were creating a culture that was like, they tried to be open to everybody, but when you do that, you're not speaking to your target audience.
And then the people that are going there to have their food or drinks you don't have room for them. So you're
right, exactly.
And they're the ones that are paying you.
Yeah, and even the bathroom issue was creating problems in some like more, I guess, urban areas, right? Where you have higher populations of people. So it's like there's a line to use the bathroom when like I'm a paying customer.
Right.
I should be able to just use the bathroom. I shouldn't have to really wait. So that was a friction point. They started creating condiment bars so that customers could add their own cream and sugar because literally everybody does that. And so that freed up more time. They found that now their baristas had more time to interact with customers and take care of their customers.
That's cool.
Right? So they're talking about shaving. This could be, I don't know, 15 to 30 seconds per interaction. That's a whole hell of a lot of time for
Well, it adds up by the end of the day. That's a lot of time, right?
That's a ton of volume. Yeah. They're also focusing on their aesthetic. They've ordered new furniture because they want to entice customers to come in and hang out, which is what they set out to do. And then they just kind of, I guess, lost their way. This approach that they are taking is more balanced to protect the integrity of the brand. I think that's cool. We talk about integrity a ton.
Yeah.
And they also streamline. This is unfortunate, but it is what it is for companies. The CEO streamlined their executive team. He announced a bunch of layoffs, and then he has other people that have just moved on, which is probably better because sometimes companies just get full of bloat. Like how many salons have a massive front desk team that they don't really need?
Right.
We think we need them because other salons have them.
Or because we've always done it that way, right?
Yeah, that's always a great answer. We'll do it that way just because it's always been done. I had somebody recently apply to work at our front desk, and I was like, we don't have a front desk staff. We just take care of our clients. We help each other.
Yeah.
When the phone rings, we grab it, or it goes to voicemail. It's 2025.
Right.
And we have plenty of new clients coming in, but our focus is on the people that are in our business first, which it should be what you're doing. And then people that need to book appointments, there are so many different ways to do that they can figure that out, or we can get back to them.
Yeah, and I do feel in today's world, like the phone is almost, for most people, their last option to call. Like the phone rings, but it definitely, we see online bookings, like our traction comes that way, or people that email. And that's actually quite nice. And why I think in today's world, you don't need this huge front desk staff. It's different. But if you're just going to keep doing the same thing every year, then you probably don't have that realization.
Yeah, and we started out when we first opened, we were like, we need someone to like manage the salon, and we need someone to run the front desk, and we need this. And then we were like, why are we having these people come in? We're having to train them. Generally, they're doing some sort of subpar job at whatever task we're giving them because they don't care. They're just looking for a paycheck. They're not even necessarily doing hair, so there's no excitement there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it was just not the best fit for us. I'm not saying go fire your front desk staff. I'm saying start to think about stuff and what tweaks you could make to your business. It might be staring you right in the face,
right?
Like it was with Starbucks. So in closing, Starbucks says now they're focused on letting everyone know what their brand is about. So their commitment to quality, where their beans are sourced and farmed and how that process goes, and then how their partners, which I assume are their franchisees, are treated.
Love it. I think this is such a cool example because we talk a lot about innovating, pivoting. I often say, like, make sure your business is running in 2025. And what I mean by that is, like, are you operating in this year and not just like from 10 years ago and you've not changed anything, right? Because the hair industry changes all the time and you need to change with it. And you look at a big corporation who needed to change. And I think a lot of people I talk to in the hair industry when I'm in salons is just like, change is scary, right? Change is uncomfortable. I don't want to change. I don't want to grow. I want to grow, but like this part that I need to do in order to grow is uncomfortable. And look what Starbucks did. They pivoted, they innovated. Will they lose clients over that? I mean, it sounds like they're doing some amazing things. So I highly doubt it. If anything, they're probably going to gain more traction. But you have to always be innovating and pivoting in your business to arrive into today's world. And sometimes that does mean changes that either you might have employees leave or clients leave. But for the most part, when you look at it in the bigger picture, you're having momentum in the right direction for your business, which should make you more profitable.
Yeah. And I'm always fascinated by this stuff. And I'm pretty sure I said it earlier, but it's these guys are and women are generally finding these really elegant solutions to their problems. Like, what was Starbucks' issue? They had too much going on. They're not getting rid of mobile orders. They're not getting rid of their drive-thrus. What they're doing is going back to their roots, which is creating a place of community for the people in the neighborhoods, wherever they put their stores, to come enjoy a beverage and hang out and be with other people doing that. So what is your mission, and are you living that? Are you doing that every day, and are you doing it with integrity? Really focusing on what you've got to do. The second example I have is from Chili's, who
oh boy,
I didn't realize it, but Chili's right now is absolutely crushing it.
Oh, didn't even know they still existed.
In casual dining. Yeah. So there are a lot of restaurants that, there were 2 or 3 they talked about, and I don't remember off the top of my head, that filed like bankruptcy. It was like Red Lobster was one. And then another big chain, casual dining sort of chain like that. Maybe, I don't know if it was Fridays. I don't want to misspeak, so I'm not sure. One was Red Lobster. But anyways, Chili's got a new CEO, Kevin Hochman. And this dude was like, we got to streamline some stuff. Let's look at the kitchen. So Chili's wasn't doing so hot, no pun intended. And they looked at their kitchen. And what they found was, by streamlining stuff, they were able to create a massive amount of business. And so one of the first things that they did was they had this, they had, I forget who it was, but one of the kitchen chefs, top guys in their company, made a burger for, the board or whatever. And so you had 2 burgers and you tried them, and they were like, what's the difference between these burgers? And somebody was like, the buns are toasted different. Someone was like, the blend is different. Somebody was like, it's the cheese or whatever. Well, it turns out the guy who made the burgers was like, it's the pickles. The pickles are different, and you couldn't tell. So they found that they were having these pickles come in these giant buckets, right? And they had to have a special tool to open the bucket. And then they opened the bucket, and pickle juice was spilling all over the place. So now somebody's got to clean that up. And these pickles, that 2 or 3 pickles go on a burger, right, were wasting a bunch of time. So they got these jars that they can just open, and they realized they were able to save a ton of time right there.
Okay.
So that was one of the things they did. Something a little more exciting for people, French fries. Who doesn't love a good, hot, well-seasoned French fry, right? So they looked at their French fries and they were like, these are not as hot as possible. Why? Why is it taking, that means it's taking too long to get from the fryer to the table.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? There has to be extra steps here. Otherwise, they would be hot. So what they did was they had two different types of fries. They had regular French fries and curly fries. So they eliminated the curly fries because they were like, we don't need both.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, it allowed their cooks to now just cook one type of potato. The other thing they found was the seasoning was taking forever. So he showed like this bowl, or they showed a clip of it, and then the fries go into the bowl. And then you're supposed to shake the shaker 30 times. That was their standard.
Jeez.
So he was like, you're sitting there going 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no.
So they revamped the cover, and now it's like 1, 2. They flip the bowl 1, 2, and the fries are perfectly seasoned.
So much better.
Yeah, it's all these little things, and you're like, I have systems. I don't need to. Your systems could be flawed,
Right.
or your systems might not be as streamlined as they could be. That's all. That's
and
why
when's
I
the last
wanted
time you went through your systems to make sure they're, again, operating for the people you have hired now, operating the way that you're running your business now, or operating even as smoothly as you thought they were?
Yeah. The next thing they did was they talked to their team. So they have I guess like a leadership team, I would imagine. And they talked to those guys, and the CEO said, what are you cursing? This is what he was asking the kitchen top guys. What are you cursing when I'm not around?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going like, friggin' corporate makes me do this? And it was hilarious. And he's like, now is your chance because I'm the CEO and I can make changes to this stuff, but you've got to tell me. And so what they ended up doing was getting a ton of information through that, which is another thing that you need. Talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Your staff might have ideas for stuff. They're not all going to be good. I'll tell you, most of them probably aren't going to be good at all because they don't know how to run a business.
Right.
What they do know is that they like you and they like where they work and they want to stay. So in their head, they are trying to help you.
Right.
That's what human beings do. It's the same reason why 90% of my clients, for some odd reason, love to try to get their backs wet when I'm shampooing. It's because people want to lift their head. They're trying to help you.
Yeah, you're like, don't
It's
do
just
that.
human nature. Yeah, no, I pull their heads back down now, but yeah. So talk to your team. They might have some good ideas, or they just might feel valued.
Even we, like that, exactly that example, we ask our team, and we just did this through our meetings we did at the beginning of the year, like, where did we fall short? Like, it's not always easy to hear things that might not feel good. And to be honest, as a leader, you need to ask that. And some of the stuff could be stupid, like it doesn't, but they still need to be able to vent that out to you. And you still need to be able to hear that. And then you can decide as a leader, what of those things hold actual value and maybe need to make changes. But to ask your staff where you fell short or where they feel you did, you can get so much information in that.
Yeah, definitely. So then they started slimming the menu down even more. They slimmed their menu down by 25% and watched their sales skyrocket. So that's another interesting thing because I think a lot of people, well, we talk about this often. You're like, oh, I need this brand. Oh, that brand came out. I need that brand. Oh, I've got to carry that product. It's too much going on. Your clients don't know what's going on. You don't even really know what's going on. Who are you really supporting here? You align with
right. There's no identity
brands.
With that pathway,
right.
you know?
I talk about, I'm not trashing any business. I want everyone to do well, but I talk about the Cheesecake Factory and how I'll never go back there because the menu's insane.
It's so big that you just get lost, right? I can't even make a decision.
But calm down with that menu. So I don't know if I've ever even been to a Chili's. I'll go to check it out now.
I think I have.
But they had these, I guess they have these chicken crispers, which is an appetizer that they do.
Okay.
And they had like 2 different kinds. And the CEO was like, why do we have 2 different kinds of this? So the variety was getting in the way of consistency and efficiency. Mm-hmm. So they could cook like, I guess this station is pretty small, and they could cook like 3 orders at a time. And now by streamlining it, they can cook like 24 orders at a time.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that. So it's ridiculous just by getting rid of the options. And now they sell 66% more than when they offered both of that one product.
Interesting.
That's a huge jump. Who
Mhm.
wouldn't take 66% increase in their service sales?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Who wouldn't do that, you
Right.
know? So I think I have some more notes on appetizers, but marketing was the next thing they looked at, and they noticed that this one was interesting. So what they noticed is that people were posting their fast food online and then complaining about the pricing. So they were like, this famous burger shop, say McDonald's, right?
Mm-hmm.
A burger and fries and a drink used to cost $5 and now it's $20. Blah, blah, blah. What happened? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they did was they created a burger to compete with that. They created a burger that was almost like a fast food sort of burger that gave people everything that they were looking for in that experience, but with that casual dining experience.
Okay.
And so I guess now they're competitors. I don't have notes on exactly this, but you can find the video probably on YouTube, but their competitors are now mimicking these things, but the CEO is like, they're so far behind. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
not doing, and we talk about this too. When you just copy what someone else
Yeah.
is doing, you're already behind and you can only ever be now a second place to
Right.
the original, which
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense. It might be a good jump point, but then probably not even, I
It
would
should
say.
just be the inspiration to then take that idea and what would work for your business. That's the mindset switch. Don't just do what someone else is doing. Be inspired by it. And then, okay, what is your core values? What do you stand for? What's your mission? And how do you incorporate that idea that would work for your brand? But
Exactly. So
it's easier to
they
copy.
also were noticing that some companies were putting out food. They used a cheese pull, so they must have been mozzarella sticks, and they were like, "Yeah, on TV, it looks amazing, but when you go into the restaurant, that's not how their product
Mm,
behaves." So they were like, "We have to deliver this consistently, like through all of our messaging," which is
mhm.
another thing that we talk about. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm a CEO of some big company. We're the CEO, or I'm a CEO of a little company, but you can use all of these things.
Hmm.
What it looks like online, what you're presenting on social media, that really needs to be what it is, or customers are going to get confused when they walk in and they're like, this is not like what you said it was at all. And people don't
Yeah.
like that.
And that is, I think, more often the situation. Your website, either your pictures haven't been updated or your staff photos haven't been updated, or it makes it look like your salon is so glamorous and they walk in and it's the opposite. Like you have all of those things need to align. And that's part of the client experience and part of the client expectations.
So they are now focused on delivering consistency and value to their customers. They're up 31% in sales,
Nice.
20% in traffic growth. And I don't know what I was meaning here, but basically, they have competitive offers or the public has competitive offers from their competitors. And so what they were able to show was that people aren't always looking for the cheapest,
Hmm.
which is another thing we talk about when we talk
Yeah.
about pricing. Because I see this advice on social media pages where people say, this is how you need to price. And I read this the other day and my mind almost exploded. I almost went into meltdown mode, but then I just took a ride or something. But it was like, look around and then price yourself cheaper than everybody
Oh,
else
Jesus
in your
Christ.
town. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? That's not a strategy.
Your pricing structure has a structure to it. And if you need help with
Yeah.
that,
Don't
reach out.
don't do that.
Don't do that.
So when they were focusing on the social media stuff, what they were doing now was they were creating a reason for people to come in, and those people were posting on their social media, and they were like, "Look at this cheese pull" or whatever. So they were
Mhm.
using their customers to market for them, which is
That's
always
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
How amazing is it when you do such a good job and you're so excited that your clients just share photos and tag you?
It's fantastic.
That's Yeah, it's fantastic. We share that stuff when we're tagged, and yeah, it's always
It's like a
something that
win-win right there for
feels
sure.
great. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, this person is so pleased with what they got, whether it's your service or your food or your offer or whatever, that they're willing to share it with the people who are watching them.
Right.
And that is the best form of marketing right there. So from 2023 to 2024, their appetizer sales increased by 70%,
Nice.
which is wild. Again, pick something, pick pick your whatever, single process, great coverage, whatever, a haircut, whatever your like biggest thing, because those casual dining restaurants are known for like appetizers, right? You go out, get some appetizers, maybe a couple beers, something like that. So 70% increase, that's massive. I would take that. And then Q4 of last year, the sales on that single app alone, that chicken crispers, I think it was
I'm gonna have to go try
14% of all of their sales,
it. Wow.
which is a lot because
Yeah.
they have a lot of items and they serve alcohol, which is generally going to be your highest.
Right.
So basically what they did was they made the food better, they made the service better, and that's leading to what they've noticed, less time between customer visits. Which, what can you do to get customers in more frequently? Maybe that's something to think about too. And then, so now their goal is to focus. Are you laughing at me?
No, I was agreeing.
Oh, you were smiling. So I'm like, what do you got?
Because
So
it's
now
such
they're
a
focused.
logical thing, right? Like you
Yeah.
need clients and you need them to come in as much as possible. And by making these, like using this inspiration to think of
Using
how you
different
can
pickles.
change, just change some stuff, right? Instead of like banging your head against the wall, like, why is this not working for me? Or why don't I have more clients? Like just to change a few things and you could literally be way more successful. So I was just laughing because it should be common knowledge, but sometimes we need to hear it or we need to be reminded of like, it's time to change some things. This isn't working.
I love this stuff. I get so excited about these guys because these guys are CEOs of massive companies. They're not making chump change, but they're over here like just saying what everyone should already know.
Yeah, it's like basic stuff that they're doing in a huge company, which can relate to any company you run. Like we're really small. We do some of these things and reevaluate all the time, but that's how you become successful.
So now they're so successful that they were asking what's next. So this company is going to focus on, do you know what they're going to focus on?
Nope.
I talk about it a lot. I got it from my gym years and restaurants too, but they're going to focus on the fundamentals.
Love it.
They want to do all the basics really, really well and keep their customers happy and coming back. And their goal is expansion. So I guess they were saying there are states in the United States without Chili's in them. And they're like, we don't see a reason we shouldn't be everywhere. We feel like we're good enough now. And so when you see these other companies closing down and filing bankruptcy and not able to hang on, you've got to ask yourself, why?
Yeah, what sets it apart?
Maybe it's just fundamentals and doing the basics. Maybe it's not having all the offerings of every salon. Maybe it's not trying to build a whole huge spa and it's just specializing in a few things that you do really, really well. Does that mean that you can't play in other areas? No, explore stuff. I mean, these restaurants roll out specials all the time. What do you think they're doing? That's testing the market to see what works.
Always.
If something goes nuts, they figure out a way, can we streamline this and put this on our menu?
I think also what I love there is, and I hear this a lot in the salon world, like, you know, when I get here, I can just take a break. And when I get here, I can just, you know, chill out or whatever. And if you're truly leading and owning your business, when you get there, you got to figure out what's next to stay there and then get better. There's never a time to, you use this thing all the time, like to take your foot off the gas. When you are owning a business, your foot is always on the gas and is always going to be what's next? How can I do things better? Or where are my fundamentals? How can I grow that? Or what's not working and how do I change that? There's never a downtime. That's just part of owning a business.
Yeah, for sure. That doesn't mean don't take breaks, and that doesn't mean don't set aside time for yourself like Jen talked about in the beginning. And that doesn't mean don't take vacations and don't turn your mind off from your business. It just means that when you're focused on your business, you need to be focused.
Yeah.
Like you need to be going and not just.
It's in progress and always needs to be looked at, reevaluated, revamped, all the things.
Yeah. And this year is a perfect example for us because we have known for a long time that you weren't just going to work behind the chair and that was going to make our business grow.
Right.
So this year we've stepped back and we're focusing more on growing our team and creating opportunities for them, streamlining that.
Right.
And preparing for, in a sense, not only this year when we get more towards fall, which is, I would say, more heavy education, but next year as well.
Right.
Where can we expand? What can we do? And what do we not need? What is not serving us anymore? What can we get rid of? And I'm not talking about people. not even necessarily about services. Just look at everything in your restaurant or salon or bakery or whatever you got going on, your lemonade stand. Do you need those fancy cups, 6 different types? No. People want good, cold, fresh lemonade. I don't care what cup it comes in. I'm just being funny, but
I want to have lemons on it, but that's me.
yeah. Anyways, that's all I got.
I love it. I hope it drives some inspiration and gives some people some ideas. We say all the time, look at different industries to get your inspiration. I think a lot of times when you're focused on, I'll just say salon world because that's the world I live in, you just only look at what salons are doing. And that can be super repetitious and very boring. And it's really important to look outside the industry to pull that inspiration and get creative in a different way. And then it's the next step, super important for you to apply it in a way that works for you, not the way you just saw it. You got to put a spin on it.
Yeah, go on YouTube and type in CEO of, and then whatever your favorite company is. And there's going to be interviews, I would say, most likely on there. Go listen to that stuff. These guys have a ton of insight, and it's in practice. They're talking about the stuff that they're doing that is making a difference for their business, but they're also talking about the mistakes that they've made in the past that maybe set them back a year or two, which is not a fun thing to do when you're the CEO of a company like that. You have a board, you have a responsibility to make money for that board and shareholders and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, just, I guess, think bigger.
Yeah, love it.
Think bigger. All right, that's all I have. You have anything else, Jen?
No, I think that was awesome.
All right, cool. Get on our email list, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.